show at around 3:30-ish, 3:45, somewhere in that area. So we'll talk to the new Gators coach. He'll make his second appearance on this hideous show in the 3 o'clock hour. We'll pick his brain about some of the biggest questions surrounding his team as they get ready for camp. Camp will begin on August the 5th. Before you know it, the season's going to be here. So what is he thinking about? What's going on in that quarterback room? What about the O-line? What about his skill position talent? He's got some dudes now. If they can find some guys who can block and, pick out a quarterback who can accurately deliver the football, maybe they could score some points offensively. The defense certainly needs to step forward. Only 26 sacks from a year ago, but we'll talk about it with John Summerall, your Florida Gators head coach. He will join us in the 3 o'clock hour around 3:30 to 3:45.
Go Gators.
Thank you, Coach. Go Gators. And we look forward to talking to you once again. I like that gruff voice. Go Gators. He sounds like a guy who should be coaching this football team up again. Go Gators.
He sounds like an old school coach, which I love. He just has that, I don't know. You're right. He has that gruff in his voice that sticks out.
And listening to Jaden Baugh on with Nick and Rock, this is a guy who's not afraid to go into the weight room with the players. I mean, obviously, he was a linebacker back in the day at Kentucky. He grew up in the SEC. He eats, sleeps, and breathes SEC. So when the job came up, he jumped all over it. He did a great job at Troy, turning them around relatively quickly. Did the same thing at Tulane. Can he do the same with the Gators? We'll talk to John Summerall in the 3 o'clock hour. And then at 4:05, we'll pick up a conversation that we started yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 week from today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will open training camp with their first practice. Will Baker Mayfield have a contract in place? We'll talk to Buccaneer insider Rick Stroud of TampaBay.com and the Sports Day Tampa Bay podcast. He will join me at 4:05. Plenty of questions for him, not just about Baker, but what about the big guy, Vita Vea? Will he get a new deal, or will the Buccaneers do something with his contract? And some of the big questions surrounding the Buccaneers and training camp, Rick Stroud at 4:05. And then, ladies and gentlemen, at 4:30, we got a little Would You Rather action, and this is going to be pretty interesting. Would you rather trade for a big bat or a big starting pitcher? Would you rather is coming up at 4:30.
None yet.
And then speaking of the Rays, in the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to go up north of the border. I don't believe he is hanging out at the Loose Moose, but we're going to get with one of the finest baseball analysts in the business, and he just happens to do games for us on Rays TV. Former big league pitcher, friend of the program. Strange things always seem to happen to this guy when he goes on the road, and we'll ask him about close encounters of the road kind. Brian Anderson, Rays TV analyst, he will be with me at 5:30. We're on the air to 6 o'clock here on this beautiful Would You Rather Wednesday.
There's a show. That's a show.
That's a show. That's how we do it here. And then coming up at 6 o'clock, Chris Mathis is with a Round Tripper or whatever that show's called. He's going to get you ready for the Rays and the Blue Jays. Can the Rays make it 3 in a row tonight against Toronto? That is the theme of our opening drive.
Tampa Bay Sports Radio presents The Opening Drive.
An impressive opening drive.
What an opening drive.
With TKras.
Oh, wait a minute. This just in. The Rays just scored again against the Toronto Blue Jays and their pitching staff.
No. You insulted them a little bit.
I didn't insult anybody. Come on, give me a drink. I told you guys yesterday, man, and you saw it last night. The Blue Jays are toast. They're toast. Toast. They're going through the motions. The focus isn't there. The energy isn't there. The drive isn't there. Vlad Guerrero swinging at the first pitch. $500 million. The guy's got 6 home runs. Victor Mesa Jr. has more home runs and way less at-bats. Clement, the second baseman, he doesn't know what the hell's going on. He can't catch pop-ups. Defensively, the Blue Jays have just been awful the first 2 games of the series. And listen, kudos to the Rays because they have taken advantage of the Toronto Blue Jays in the first 2 games of this series. The Rays have outscored Toronto 19-3. That's it. And over the last 38 innings, last 4 games, the Blue Jays have scored 4 runs. Terrible. So if the Rays can get off to a good start like they did yesterday, they're going to be made in the shade tonight with Griffin Jackson on the mound, who's been very good, very consistent. And I'll get to him a little bit later on because there are some rumors flying about in terms of the Rays and the latest trade deadline. We'll get into that a little bit later on in this hour. But last night, it was about the Rays, and how about Yandy Diaz playing in his 1,000th game? And he set the tone for this one early on with a 12-pitch at-bat against Kevin Gausman, and it took a great defensive play to rob him of a hit, but that set the tone for what was a very prolific offensive night for the Rays. They banged out 21 hits. They scored 12 runs. They hit a number of home runs. By the way, do you think Nick Fortes reads the tabloids? Do you think he's online? We had Nick Martinez on the show yesterday, and we were asking him, hey, do you go on the internet? Do you check out like some of the – and he said, yeah, I do. Like not necessarily for us, but just, you know, kind of informational, wanting to know what's going on. But you have to believe a guy like Nick Fortes and the catching situation has been something that the Rays are trying to solve, both short-term and long-term. I would have picked Von Lackey, second overall a couple of weeks ago, but whatever. But Nick Fortes knows, and he reads the rumors, and he sees the headlines. The Rays are looking for a catcher. The Rays are looking for an offensive upgrade. Catcher, second base, yada, yada, yada. I think Nick Fortes is galvanized by it, especially over the last 2 nights. The first 2 games of this series against Toronto, all Nick Fortes has done is gone 5 for 9 with 2 home runs, 5 RBI, and he scored 4 times. He had a big 3-run homer last night. You don't think he sees the trade rumors and everything else? You better believe he does. Just like Ben Williamson sees the trade rumors and Richie Palacios, because the Rays are also targeting a second baseman. What did Ben Williamson do last night? He had 4 hits, 4 for 5. You know, it was interesting. And look, when you go and watch a game, whether you physically go to the ballpark and watch the game, and look, I got to give the people up in Toronto a lot of credit because the Blue Jays right now are mailing it in. There's no question about it. And that fan base continues to support them. 42,000 plus showed up at the Rogers Center last night to watch that. To watch this team absolutely make a disgrace of themselves. And those fans still keep showing up. And when they were trying to rally in the 6th inning, you know, the Rays were up 8-0 when they scored that first run on an infield single by Dalton Varsho. Oh, a huge roar came out of the Rogers Center. I'm like, wow, these fans are something else. And hopefully maybe we can pick up a couple of pointers, to be quite honest. But I really appreciate the Toronto fans for showing up and showing out in a very big way, even though their team right now is terrible. They stink. The Blue Jays stink. They're going through the motions. They're mailing it in. They can't wait until the offseason. They're in last place for good reason. And you know what? Credit the Rays because they're taking advantage of it. And now the Rays have an opportunity, much like they were on the receiving end over the weekend of a 4-game sweep at the hands of the Red Sox up in Beantown. The Rays have an opportunity here in Toronto over the next 2 days to do the same thing. Toronto wants no part of being there. If you get up on this team early, you've got them. They're not pitching. They're not hitting 4 runs over the last 38 innings. They're not defending. They're, bumbling the baseball. They've committed 5 errors so far in the first 2 games. This team is ripe. They are waving the white flag, and the Rays have to take advantage of it. Period. End of story. And the 4-game sweep, apparently that has been a jumping off point or a motivation for the Rays. And apparently they came to Toronto all pissed off, and it shows. Here's Chandler Simpson talking to our guy, Ryan Bass, after the game about what happened in Boston and how they're taking their frustrations out against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we played a good team in Boston that was rolling at the time, and they kind of got the up and up on us those 4 games. So we knew we had to come to Toronto and make a statement.
And how about Chandler? You know, we were talking yesterday, Chris Mathis. You had the question. Who might be the X factor for the Rays down the stretch? And the answer, I think, is Chandler Simpson. Why? Because we know the big 3. We know Yandy Diaz, Jonathan Aranda, Junior Caminero. As for the rest of that lineup, when you analyze who the Rays are trotting out there, there's only one guy in that group that brings something special to the table that none of the other guys do. And that's Chandler Simpson because of his speed. And you saw it on display. When the guy hits it on the ground, just like Willie Mays Hayes, he is the real-life version of Willie Mays Hayes. You got to hit it on the ground. If he hits it on the ground, it's an infield hit. Period. You have no chance. He chops it on the ground up the middle. I saw that one play. I'm like, oh, no chance. And how about the bunt that he laid down yesterday? That's about as perfect of a bunt as you will see. You couldn't roll it off your hand down the third base side any better than Chandler Simpson bunted that ball last night. He's got the skill set that, quite frankly, none of these other guys have outside of the big 3, and not very few people have in all of baseball. And I think the Rays will augment to this team. They will add a bat. But when you talk about the current roster, once you get past the top 3, Chandler Simpson is the X factor moving forward. And if you can continue to put the bat on the ball, and he's got good bat-to-ball skills, and he continues to hit it on the ground. I don't want to see you hit it in the air. Every time I see you hit one into the air, you owe me 20 push-ups. And that's the way it's got to be. Willie Mays Hayes. His average is up to 289. And if he continues to do what he's been doing the last couple of days, then I think the Rays, I don't expect them to score 12 runs every game necessarily. But I think there's a chance for them to, be at least adequate offensively until Eric Neander pulls the trigger and gets another bat to come on in here and help out. Most likely at second base, maybe at catcher, we'll see. But I think the trade talk has galvanized the guys right now manning second base and catcher. Because these guys are human. They're on their phones. They see what's going on. They have relatives of theirs, friends of theirs, texting them, hey, did you see this? Look what your team might be up to. So it's only human to kind of look at that and be motivated by it. And maybe Nick Fortes knows. Maybe Ben Williamson / Richie Palacios, maybe they know the handwriting's on the wall, and it could be a matter of days before the Rays bring in help from the outside at those particular positions. Maybe they do one of each. I wouldn't rule it out. Maybe it's a second baseman and a catcher as well as a pitcher. The Rays absolutely have the ammunition to pull that off. We'll get into that coming up in a matter of moments, but it was a good night last night for the Rays. Holy cow. The only guy who didn't have multiple hits, every guy up and down that lineup had at least 2 hits, except Taylor Walls. And Walls went 0 for 5, unfortunately. But the night prior, he had 2 hits, including a triple. So Taylor Walls gets it done, and he gets it done defensively. That is his bread and butter. That's where he brings most of his value to this team. And when he gets up there, he's trying to bunt guys over and tries to make contact here and there. But he's in there for defense first, and anything you get out of him offensively is icing on the cake. But every other guy and player in that lineup had at least 2 hits. Yandy, 2 for 6. Aranda, 2 for 6. Junior Caminero got on base 5 times yesterday. He went 2 for 3, and he drew 3 walks. And his at-bats, by the way, and you watch him up there, he has such a great understanding now, and he's getting much better. He doesn't chase pitches out of the zone. The guy is putting together some high-quality at-bats. And just think, guys, if they find somebody to put behind Junior, we know he's got guys in front of him. And I think, and I know a lot of you want to see Chandler Simpson in leadoff spot. I'm intrigued by that too, but you cannot fault the Rays for the lineup they've got going on right now, which is Yandy Diaz at leadoff because he's your best hitter. And you want that guy up there 5 times a night, maybe 6. And he got up there 6 times because the Rays were hitting the ball everywhere. But I think Diaz, Aranda, Caminero have to be 1, 2, and 3. If they can swing a deal and get another bat to put behind Junior, oh, baby. And Chandler Simpson continues to do what he does in terms of the speed and getting on base and creating havoc and stealing bases, then I think the offense will be good enough. But the pitching has to get to another level if they want to get to a World Series. And, you know, right now, they appear to position themselves in the right spot. The Rays have played 100 games, folks, and they're 58-42. And they're 2 games up on the Yankees. Yankees are playing a doubleheader. Yankees are getting Max Fried back tonight for Game 2 of that doubleheader. They got Garrett Cole going in the first game. Doubleheaders are good because, I don't know, it just happened to the Rays. You don't see a whole lot of doubleheader sweeps, even though it did happen to the Rays Friday night in Boston. Very disappointing. But I think the Rays have bounced back in a big way against Toronto. You know, in all likelihood, hopefully, you're going to see the Yankees and the Pirates probably split that doubleheader, which means if the Rays win tonight, they're going to gain a little bit more ground on the Yankees. So the Rays have to just concentrate on what the Rays are doing. They're chasing you. You're not chasing them. And the Yankees right now are 2 out. You know, the Red Sox, who are still red hot, they are winners of 14 in a row. They're 6 out in the loss column. The Rays have to just concentrate on the Rays and concentrate on beating down a lifeless, and I mean lifeless, Toronto Blue Jays team that has shown absolutely zero energy and zero focus through the first 2 games of this series. And the Rays have to continue to take advantage. If they go out there and score first tonight, it's clear sailing against this team because you know the Blue Jays are going to pack it in because they've done that the first 2 games of this series. They don't care. Continue to hammer these guys and don't give them any room. You start fast against them, they'll fold. Just like that. All right, great to have you with us. A lot of Rays talk today. 888-388-0957. How motivated do you think Nick Fortes has been the last 2 games? I love it, man. And sometimes you need that little bit of a push. Same thing with the second baseman, Ben Williamson, 4 hits last night. Outside of the top 3, who is the X factor in this lineup moving forward? It's got to be Chandler Simpson, right? You may have a differing opinion. We want to hear from you through the phone line, through the text platform. Brian Anderson, he's going to join us a little bit later on. We'll talk to BA live from Toronto, and we'll find out if there have been any other road encounters taking place up there, because something always unusual happens to Brian Anderson when he's on the road. But he'll be on the call tonight on Rays TV. We'll talk to him at 5:30. We've got Would You Rather at 4:30. Rick Stroud on the Buccaneers at 4:05. And don't forget, Gator fans, SEC Media Days going on this week here in Tampa. The coach of the Florida Gators, John Summerall, is scheduled to join yours truly in the 3 o'clock hour around 3:30 or so. So a packed show. We're here until 6 o'clock, and then it's Rays baseball coverage. We'll get your calls and texts. Also, coming up next, the latest buzz regarding the Rays and the trade deadline. It seems like every day there's a new story out there, and there's a new one regarding what the Rays might be thinking about doing, and we'll talk about it with you next.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
The Drive is driven by our guys over at Moss Nissan. Their goal is to never lose your business over price. TKras and Chris Mathis here. You got to come on down and see the all-new lineup of 2026 Nissans. I bought my last 3 vehicles there, Chris Mathis, and His bride and wife have bought vehicles there. Friends and family have also taken advantage, and you should too. And when you buy that vehicle, by the way, guess what? You'll get Moss Care, lifetime oil changes and tire rotations. Plus, they're now offering Sunday service hours too.
Yeah, they are, Tom. It is awesome. Bring in your best written trade-in offer right now to Moss Nissan. They will beat it. 3 convenient locations.